Welcome back. DadSchooled Podcast. I'm Josh. That's Jimmy. And we're here. It's a beautiful Monday morning. You haven't seen us in 3 weeks?
Something like that.
How long has it been, Jimmy? And whose fault is it?
I was sick last week. That was fun.
Yeah. So we won't blame you for that one. But the one before that one, did we meet before that? Maybe not. I can't remember. Oh, you were tired from vacation. That's what it was.
Something. Yeah, we were out of town.
Yeah, out of town. But we're here now, so worry not. And you know what? According to Facebook, the first couple seconds of our video is where we lose the most people. So just keep that in mind as we've grown on about who was here and who wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't edit this before we put it up either. It's raw every time. We don't like to hide behind our editing mistakes like some people. I don't know what I'm talking about.
This is not a highly polished endeavor.
No. Speaking of highly polished, Jimmy, do you remember where we were last time?
Something with Moses.
Okay, something with Moses. You're getting closer. We were still in Egypt at that time.
I'm trying to link the word polish with.
Yeah, there's no connection.
Okay.
Just put it out there. No, we were still in Egypt with Moses, and Moses was appealing to Pharaoh to let his people go. His classic statement, right? Pharaoh was saying the equivalent of "nuh-uh," and not getting rid of the Israelites yet. I guess they weren't called Israelites yet, were they? Were they?
Maybe the
Maybe.
people of Israel.
I guess that's right. Okay.
But as descendants of Israel, not as a land.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay. So they haven't been let go yet. We have to actually skip forward. Jimmy pointed out to me we have like 600 pages here. 14 pages to get through today on our what we intended to cover. It's not going to happen, guys. But it's not going to happen verbatim. How's that? But we have several pages and then some from last time that we didn't get to even. So we're going to have to fast forward and skip, but we'll give you a highlight. Moses talked to Pharaoh several times. Pharaoh said no several times. He went back on his word several times. We had the epic plagues of Egypt go through. You remember all the plagues were, Jimmy? In order?
Gum in the hair.
No, don't be sacrilegious. Come on.
Cut their brake lines.
Yeah. On their chariots. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than having your brakes go out in your chariot. It's bad news.
Yeah, you use the old "whoa" instead. I guess if they lost their voice, that'd be like losing your brake lines, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right, the horse. Yeah. Stop, and the horse won't stop. Okay. Back to reality. So several plagues, like boils and fire and brimstone, frogs. Yeah. And then finally the big old angel of death taking out the firstborn. That was a whammy.
Like, the very first one, River to Blood, like I would have been, yep, okay.
I'm out.
Here you go. I'm out. That one's pretty gross.
And it's probably smelled like that the metally iron smell too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like imagine how bad. Like we live next to the Missouri River here. Like you go out there and it stinks of rotten fish, right? And nasty mud. Imagine that, but blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. That's oh. Long story short, he let him go. Then I think let's see. Are we talking about that, are we? No. Oh yeah, we are. We are talking about that. Sorry, I was gonna skip ahead, but I was skipping ahead too far. So they left. Middle of the night, they left. That is where we're picking up this one. Kind of his title, I guess. Moses in the wilderness. He's not in the wilderness yet. He hasn't made it. I guess anywhere outside of Egypt is the wilderness in that day and age.
But, just about.
And people on the call, if they're still here, call on the call like we're on a TV station. No. Jimmy's mom is wondering right now, what does this have to do with dads? That's a great question. It actually has a lot to do with that because Moses, as we have identified, is going through different stages of leadership in the Bible, and he takes on the challenge or accepts the life quest presented to him by God to go and free the Israelites from Egypt. That is not unlike sometimes. I mean, people will probably disagree with this, but it's a monumental task to be a dad. Not like the same, probably. I don't know. What would you say, Jimmy? The
To
same
the same tier of leading 10 plagues and
slavery.
yeah, right.
I mean, I would
Well,
discount the fact that being a dad's important, though, right?
it's very important, very, very important. And sometimes it does feel like you're wandering around in the wilderness trying to figure out what step is next. Like that's relatable.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So what? So Jimmy, what do you do when God delivers you from one problem, but doesn't immediately show you where you're going next? I want dates and examples. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull out my Rolodex and see what I can recall here.
Rolodex. How old are you, man? Come on. Pull my cell phone out with my no. Go ahead.
My Palm Pilot.
Yeah, your BlackBerry.
My BlackBerry.
This is why we lose people in the beginning, Jimmy.
This is where it is. This is the tune-out moment right here. No, yeah. I mean, you get going from times in your life where things are not exactly what you had thought it was going to be. Things were rough. You have a tragedy that goes on either within your own household or closely linked to your household, so it affects everybody. And then sometimes it's just that feeling of out of the frying pan into the fryer, where you're like, okay, I got over that hump. Now we can move on. And sometimes life just keeps throwing curveballs at you, and it doesn't get as settled and kind of easygoing as we like hope. And it oftentimes it's on our shoulders. Okay, what's next? Where are we going next? What are we doing next? Trying to make that decision. It should hopefully be a team decision with your spouse that you guys are able to talk through and make decisions together. But a lot of times it's a quick, just, okay, this is what we're doing. We got to do this. And you don't have time to sit down and have like a nice long deliberation, weigh pros and cons. It's just kind of okay, this is what we're doing. And that can be tough. That can be really, really tough.
So you said that nicely. You get over a hump in life, and kind of the next hump comes to smack you next. There's always another hump on the horizon to smack you with something.
Yeah.
That's not unlike the Israelites. They got out of Egypt, and not only were they all just freed from slavery, but the first time ever they probably were thinking about their future, which is also a daunting task if you don't know where you're going. You're being led by something. Let's put ourselves into the the shoes, the sandals of the Israelites. They were just freed from slavery. They're excited and eccentric, and they're following this Moses character who seems to have gotten it done for them. So they're giving them the benefit of the doubt right now, and they're following them. They went through some pretty freaky times with some plagues going on, and they don't know what's going on with that. But this guy seems to be commanding them, so we shouldn't make him mad. I don't think the Israelites, they might not fully realize what they're getting into at this point yet. Like
well, I mean, they went through the crazy turnaround where, okay, slavery, and we're the oppressed slave class of this entire society, and then within a day it's the Egyptians are piling all their gold and treasure on their carts, on their donkeys, and like, get out of here. And so they're like, okay, we're rich. We've got all this treasure. And then they get out in the desert, and it's like, well, we don't have anyone to like trade this with. So it's just, it actually turns into like this burden of carrying like gold and silver and all that. Like that stuff's pretty heavy. And they're carting it through a place that I don't imagine maybe has roads. They're going through the desert. Like suddenly it's a burden. They can't do anything with it. And so one moment they're elated, and then the next moment it's like, what's going on?
Right. So the emotional roller coaster humps of life.
Exactly.
So in parallel, like we go through that job loss, health scare, financial crisis, just difficult seasons in whatever we deal with. We go through the same thing. Like we get a new job, we lose our job, we get a new job, we lose our job. We have excess money this month. All of a sudden the car breaks. That's like a recurring theme in our household. Is every time we get excess money in a month's budget, something breaks on the car. Like right now, my van's in the shop for a rear brake. You know, luckily this time, I guess it's a bad example. This time it's covered under warranty. But still, it's like, what next? What appliance is going to explode next in
That
my
was
house?
one of the 10 plagues.
Yeah.
It's the brakes. The brakes going out.
That's right. You're not wrong. Okay.
See, I knew I could land that plane.
That was up there for a while, but it came back.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It finally landed.
So, man, you threw me off with that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So God leads them someplace unexpected, right? They go out into the wilderness. They're not even to our favorite body of water crossing yet. We're coming up to that. But in all of that, let's read Exodus 13:17. Okay. God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near, but God led the people around by the way of the wilderness. Okay. So I'm not sure how many people out there at that time were experts on the geography, especially the slaves. Yeah, keep this in mind. Moses might have known because he left and he came back. So he might have known a little bit more, I would say. I wouldn't really think that most of the Israelites got out away from Egypt very much, right? Just not sure. I mean, I'm coming from a point of ignorance here, but I'm assuming they might not have known the lay of the land. But God did. And anybody looking at this from the outside, they know what's coming because they could have gone the easy way and been gone, right? But they didn't. They went the hard way, and God led them through the hard way. So that's interesting, Jimmy.
Well, and it was definitely the long way instead of the, as the crow flies, just the direct path. But going through where the Philistines are, I don't know that necessarily would have been easier. So by going around what may have been certain destruction, he saved them. But that could have been one of their questions, like, but it's right there, God. Why are we not just doing that? Why can't we just do that thing? Yeah.
Yeah. If I've been slaves again.
I mean, how many times in my life have I felt like the place I want to be in life? I feel like it's right there, but here I am on this path going way over here. Like, that's relatable.
So, I mean, as dads, how often do we assume God's way should have been the easy way for us? Right? Like, it's always easier to be armchair, assessors at the end of a problem instead of in the midst of the problem. I was recently this weekend on Saturday. I was assistant to the assistant coach at a volleyball game. The main coach couldn't be there, so we had one of the parents step in, and she wanted some help, so I jumped in and assisted her. And my oldest son was helping with me, so it was him, me, and then her. And she had always great insights. All I had to offer was snarky comments and humor. I had nothing really to offer. Like we didn't win at all. We got crushed in all 3 matches. And I literally told the girls, like, in between matches, hey, how about we win this next one? Like, that's the idea we can strive for here, guys. And
they're just like, oh, that's all it took.
Yeah, luckily that some of them had good humor about it, but not the most insightful coaching, I'd say, from my end. Where I'm going with all this, like, I'm watching the game unfold, and I can pick out what we're doing wrong very easily because I'm on the sideline. I'm not in the midst of the turmoil of the game like they are. The girls are doing the hard work in there. But it's easy for me to critique them after the fact. Oh, you should have taken a half a step forward and attacked the ball differently. But at the time, they got a ball coming at them at Mach 6 from their team who's overhand serving, and they're just trying to survive. But that in my mind is kind of how being a dad is. Like, we're in the midst of it. We don't have the luxury that God has of seeing the whole picture and knowing what's going to happen. So we're going through situations, and we're seeing the pathway that's unfolding in front of us, and it's probably not the best way every single time. And we have to trust God that it is going to be the pathway we need to go down, instead of fighting and thinking that we're going the wrong way every turn. But yeah, I mean, it's easier to look back after the fact and be like, oh, that's why I went that way in life. That's the reason I needed that, was to show me that I'm a piece of trash and I need to think differently about life. I'm glad I had that experience now.
Yeah. Hindsight always makes such a big difference when looking back at, when we have gone through those difficult seasons, gone through the wilderness in life, and being able to look back at that, like that stood out to me before.
And the worst thing we can do as dads is to think that just because things are difficult, God's abandoned us. Like, that's not the case at all. Like, we need to stay strong in our faith, even through the hard times. It's super hard to. I think it's easier to turn to God when things are all falling apart than when things are really great. And it's kind of a weird turn here in this conversation, but like, I always feel guilty after the fact when things go really well and then they fall apart, because I realize I never thanked God for when it was really well. And a part of me, I know he doesn't work this way. I hope he doesn't work this way. I don't know for sure, I guess I should say. Maybe he's mad because I wasn't grateful. And that's why it's not good anymore. But I know that's not how it works. It's not like a works-based scenario here. But I know there's cause and effect, my decisions, right? If I turn and make terrible decisions, because free will comes into play here, I shouldn't blame the outcome of those decisions on God, because there's cause and effect. There's consequences to my actions. I actually had this. I don't know if I brought this up in this podcast before, but I had a friend. His father passed away recently, recently within the past year, and he did not pass easily. It was a very difficult time. He suffered and struggled for a long time, and he was asking me. His son was my friend is a good man of faith, and he was, why? My dad was very faithful. Why did he have to suffer? He was equating his dad's suffering to a punishment of sorts. Why God would allow this? And I am not a smart person by any means. I don't even know where this came from. And I look back at it in hindsight, like we're talking about, and I honestly feel like this was the Holy Spirit leading me to an answer for him. And I had something pop in my head, and I told him, I said, just because your dad was outstandingly faithful to God and Jesus doesn't mean that his poor life decisions of eating candy and sugar and soda all his life doesn't mean there's consequences to that. We're all fallen humans. We're not perfect. We make bad decisions, and those bad decisions have consequences sometimes. I thought that was pretty profound. I was proud of myself, but it didn't come from inside of me at all. There was no knowledge at all. It was nothing. I literally opened my mouth and it came out. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Yeah. But it just makes me think off the cuff here. Just because things are bad doesn't mean God's absent. Just because we're doing well doesn't mean God's absent. We gotta remember as dads, no matter what happens, we have to thank God for where we're at and what we're doing. So,
simply, any decision we make has a consequence, and
yeah,
we tend to think of the word consequence as negative consequences, but that is just the outcome after any fork in the road, and you either go left or you go right. The direction you're going is the consequence of the choice that you made at that fork in the road. So the outcome after the fact. So it's not always a negative thing, but We tend to think about our consequences most often when things aren't going the way that we like. But trying to take that mindset, that's something that has come to mind for me a lot in the past, of when I'm faced with a decision, knowing there's going to be a consequence after, like, okay, well, what kind of experience do I want to have later, and trying to have that thoughtfulness beforehand. um, I've liked it when I've had the forethought to have that kind of internal dialogue. It doesn't happen often enough, but the times it has, I'm like, man, I'm really glad I stopped and I thought about that for a minute. But that's the reality.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of forks in the road, Israelites are on the road and they are heading out of Egypt into the wilderness. And so far, the Israelites are like, okay, this is marginally better than being a slave. We are free. We have a bunch of loot. We're heading out. We're doing great. And then word reaches them that Pharaoh is pursuing them. They're on that climbing that hill again, and something about ready to smack them in the face of being difficult again. And I love this so much. This is not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite situations here. As soon as it gets hard and the people start panicking, the first thing they do is they complain back to Moses. And this is something we're going to see a lot in this whole anthology of, Moses bringing people out, to the promised land. But Exodus 14:11. Is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? They're complaining to him. He saved them from being slaves, and it got difficult again. And now they're like, "Woe is us, you jerk."
Well, that's like the best written complaint ever. Oh, it's because they ran out of graves, and so now we're gonna just all die out here. Is that what's going on? Like, we've been watching The Office again, and that totally seems like the sort of line that would come out of The Office.
Yeah. Fact.
Yeah. Bears beats.
Yeah. Battlestar Galactica. Okay. So when things get bad, people immediately start forgetting where they came from. I think it's a very special ability when someone is humbled enough in their past. I guess their past has to be really bad for this to work all the time. If your past is so bad that everything you face is just perfect, I think you're in a good spot, honestly, because you have a great view on life going forward. That's kind of how our memories work, if you didn't know that. Like, our memories, as sad as it's in the sound, it's a natural survival mechanic for us to remember the bad things, right? Because it helps protect us. Fire bad, burn skin. Ooh, you don't think fire tickle good. Do it more, but because you die, you burn yourself, right? The same thing with experiences. People remember bad experiences, and it just sticks in your mind. I'm doing a lot of AI work at work right now, and side projects, and essentially we're getting to the point with memory management in these systems where we're mapping out the human memories and how the brain works of neural pathways.
Teaching the AI that fire is bad, and it
Yeah,
hurts.
yeah, and it's not getting it yet.
It keeps touching the stove.
Yeah, it doesn't understand. But it's interesting with how you remember things and how you store that information and recall it and put weight behind that information. I know I'm getting way off the track. I have a problem, Jimmy. I have a problem going off topic here.
Well, now you've got me intrigued. I want to know where this is going.
But you put certain weights on numbers of like if something is mentioned 5 times in a conversation, it has a higher value than something that's mentioned 1 time. Something that you should remember, and that's you're teaching the systems to do things that way and save information for recalling, because you don't want to remember like all of the things you don't care about. You want to, if you're mentioning something and it has to have emphasis on the context of the sentence, it has to put a higher weight on remembering that when it saves that information, so it can recall it easier. Because over time, that's the other thing, like long-term memory, like something that was important today, it might not be recalled ever again for 6 months, right? So you got to like clean that up too. It's a whole thing. Sorry, I got way off there. But the whole point of that was people are remembering the worst, and they always forget like the things that helped them. It seems like the plagues in Egypt didn't help them directly, indirectly it did, but there is a terrible time, and it was very powerful and mighty of God to do these things. They forgot it. They're like, oh, this guy's leading us in the wilderness to die. We're not graves in Egypt. Blah 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 blah. I'm better. But no, they forget God brought them out of Egypt. God protected them, and he promised them that if they were faithful, that they'd get, be okay. Now, I'm not sure. That's a good question. How much at this point, in as the chase starts, the beginning of their whole journey, how much do they actually understand where they're going? I wonder.
Yeah, no idea.
Probably not much. They probably still are like, where are we sleeping tonight?
Yeah.
So, okay, fast forward. We're getting in the weeds with AI and all sorts of stuff that we shouldn't be doing. Dads face this issue also, right? We already kind of covered this, that dads have the same hills and valleys of things smacking them in the face. Here's where brass tacks comes down here, right? Exodus 14:13. Fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. That's something that we all have a problem with, don't we? Being silent. People like to complain.
I hear it being said differently in my head of Moses. If you guys will just shut up, instead of you just only need to be silent.
Oh man, you buckle up. This whole journey is like my favorite in the Bible. Only second to when Jesus was teaching the disciples to go out and disciple people, and they keep on bringing things back to Jesus, and Jesus is like, how long do I have to deal with this? You hear the frustration in him.
Yeah.
Okay, back to this. So what Moses does not do, Jimmy. Let's do a Moses does not do list here, or what he does right. He does not publicly panic. He does not throw his hands up in the air and wave them around like he don't care and run around circles saying we're all going to die, right? No. He knows that God has their backs. I honestly don't think he knows as much as what's going to happen, but he knows that a supreme being sent him to do the impossible, and so far it's working out pretty well for him. So I think as we're going on, Moses's faith is going to grow as well. And that's important as dads. We're going through life and we are encountering all these problems, and we need to stay faithful to God. But you know what? It doesn't mean we have to be upstandingly, perfectly like pastor level in our faith to do this. We can approach this and start our fatherly, leading our family journeys, even if we have a small amount of faith to start with. And it's very important to realize that, because I was hung up as an atheist a long time ago. I was hung up on that for quite some time. I thought I had to know everything in the Bible before I was able to take the leap of faith and be considered a believer. I thought I had to have all the knowledge, have all the answers, all the rebuttals, because I came at this from a position of public speaking and public debate. That was my approach. I was learning all that stuff, and I loved learning that stuff as an atheist. And then I flipped the script, and I love learning it as a Christian. I loved apologetics, but I was hung up on that one last aspect of the faith, like the leap of faith, because I thought I had to have enough knowledge to do that. But in reality, a leap of faith doesn't require knowledge. How many times do you know all the parts of an airplane, Jimmy, before you get on an airplane to fly? You don't.
Right.
If people knew half the stuff that goes on an airplane with maintenance, they wouldn't ever fly again. Even though it's like the safest form of travel you can probably get to nowadays. Even as an auto mechanic, you go down that pathway and you fully understand how these cars are maintained and what holds them together.
Right.
You probably won't want to drive anymore either. There's a lot of faith just to getting behind the wheel of your car sometimes. People don't think about it because it's like every day. That's where we should be at with our faith in Jesus. We should have the faith of getting behind a car that's ill-maintained and we don't care. We just want to drive Jesus.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Exactly. And the brakes and the So with all that said, like yeah, leadership isn't always knowing what to do in a situation. But leadership absolutely has to start with putting your faith in God to lead people, no matter who you're leading, employees at work, family at home, friends in a Bible study, whatever you're doing. So fast forwarding, Jimmy's giving me the look like, you got to stop this, Josh. You got to keep on going. God makes a way where it didn't existed. Existed? Oh, I said that, didn't I? God makes a way. Moses is faithful. He leads the people. They're being chased by the Egyptians. They get to this body of water. Some say it's only this deep. That's why they could do it. I don't think it was that deep. I think it was the epic. I want to say is the epic, mile high wall of water. You see the fish on each side. I want to say I want to see that so bad. Like, if we have the opportunity, I don't think this is a thing, but I hope it is. in heaven, the ability to go back and see any point in time in heaven, not that will be timeless, but maybe there's like a recording someplace in heaven that I can see things. I want to see that. I want to see how it parted. This is something I want to see.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Okay, so God parted the Red Sea. Israelites walked across. Fast forward, very paraphrased version. We're skipping over the really exciting parts here. But Pharaoh's army tried to follow him. God, once again, says, I got you guys, and completely decimated Pharaoh's army.
See, if it was only this deep.
Yeah. Unless they really couldn't swim.
My ankles are wet. I'm going to perish.
Or they could slip and fall face down into the mud and get stuck.
An entire army.
Yeah, entire army.
Like one or two guys, that's just a comedy routine, but the entire army
taken out by unsure footing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so can you think of a time, like Jimmy, when you had something going on in your life and God solved solved the problem in a way that you never would have thought of and just worked out?
Yeah, I mean, just in some bouncing around different career paths in the last half dozen years or so. Definitely a different path than what I expected it to be, where I thought I was guiding things. But looking back where I am today, if I was the one making every single decision, I wouldn't be where I am today, but I'm loving where I am today. And so I can look back and see where there were some pretty harrowing moments and some pretty crazy tough, difficult days for myself, which then meant my family was in it with me. But I can look back and see where God put the pieces together to make the connections and the contacts to be in the place where I'm at right now. It's not something that I put together. I didn't go through, my LinkedIn page and go, oh yeah, reach out to this person and I made that connection happen. Like, nope, I don't have that kind of story. I'm where I am because this is where God has me. And yeah, I'm loving it. It's not that life is perfect now, but a lot of the insanity I was dealing with before is in the rearview mirror. So I appreciate that.
I have two career paths that I've chosen directly, or I've reached out to somebody and pursued a path and it worked out. And in the end, both those situations did not work out, like, at all. And I'm not there anymore. And that was me pursuing. And it's probably a really micro example of this, but like me pursuing a pathway that just did not pan out and was not the fit for me. But that was me thinking I knew best. And things how they shook out in the end, I would never, like you said, I would never have chosen this on the bingo card of where I'd end up in life. It's not bad, I'm doing really good overall. So I don't know. It's really interesting in retrospect to look back and see how things have panned out. And
it's not to say that there aren't times where it isn't up to us to make a decision and have to,
Right.
well, okay, I've got to chart this path. Like there are times where that's the case, but looking back where I am right now, like I did not put this together at all. This was not me at all.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, if I would have sat back and not been proactive in some situations, I still would be shoveling gravel at a summer job for the city.
Let's go.
Yeah. So why does that? Here's a good question for you, Jimmy. If that last one wasn't a good one enough, why go through the wilderness? Like if the wilderness is hard and God knows that this is where we're going to end up eventually, why we gotta go through all this hard stuff? Like why can't we just go to the easy stuff? What does the wilderness teach us?
Because the good and great promise is at the other side. It wasn't next door. They had to go through all of that to get where they were going. But also, they needed a change in their character, who they were, their identity. You don't see it in that one day to day, wake up Monday morning and, this is how my character is going to change today. Like they were out there for 40 years.
Yeah.
We were talking about this in Sunday school just yesterday. We're in Joshua. It's like one of the last verses of chapter 1 in Joshua. And the people say, they're talking to Joshua, just as we obeyed and followed Moses and everything he did, we will also obey and follow you and everything that you say because it's from the Lord. And I'm reading that. I'm like, that doesn't sound correct. And then, we talked about it briefly in class. I'm like, well, that was a different generation. And so now we see this next generation of the people who were born in the wilderness. And now 40 years have gone by. Like they're the people leading their homes, their families, and telling the stories of this is what happened to, grandma, grandpa, or, whoever, when they came out of Egypt. It's a different people.
I heard that yesterday in class, and I kept my mouth shut for one aspect. I didn't want to draw that out, but I have a different opinion. Like, yes, it worked out, but I have a different opinion on how that works because looking at how today works, I don't see it as being that different. And what I mean by that is, if we have a whole generation where things were rough and they were denied access to something and they were walked around the wilderness for 40 years, there'd be a heck of a lot of complaining to your kids about that. There'll be a lot of parents telling their kids, and I think that might be where a lot of the flim-flamming came from later on in the Israel nation, was from these parents that talked to their kids about how they were owed something they didn't get. Okay? Because if you had a nation of purely faithful individuals with no people at all in that group that had any reservations about what they're doing, I think the Bible would be a lot different. Right? But we don't. We have constant forgetting, conflict, going against God, even in the Israelite early nation. And I think that stems from the parental influence of bitter people who did not get to go into the promised land. And they're teaching their generation that they're raising, you're supposed to act this way, but we did it. I don't know what the conversation went like, but there has to be something, because if they were 100% faithful, obviously they'd be in the promised land, but they weren't. So there's something that they said to their kids to get in their minds some doubt of some kind. Like if they had nothing but pure faithfulness, raising up your generation in the wilderness would have been the greatest time to tell them all about how we're dependent on God. But some did not do that job, apparently. That's my theory, at least. So, because you would have different results if everyone was 100% faithful.
Yeah. We see them take different actions in the book of Joshua than we see through Exodus and Numbers. How easily it seemed it was for Joshua to lead them was a totally different experience. So something shifted, something changed. And I think it's that 40 years in the wilderness, somehow in some way, God was able to affect a change in their character. That, going back to our original question, like, why couldn't they just go straight direct to the promised land and everything's sunshine and rainbows? yeah, for whatever reason and however it worked out, going through that wilderness period built them into who they became later.
Yeah, and we don't have much more time. We have to fast forward again, but I guess the highlight here is like the
Oh, like
complaining
50
is.
pages.
I know the complaining is just getting started though. Like we got past the first obstacle, and there's a lot more. Like, where's our water, our food? Our leader's
We had
terrible.
cucumbers back in Egypt. We don't have cucumbers here.
Yeah, there's that one guy asking about cucumbers all the time. Um,
Yeah.
Exodus 16:2, and the whole congregation of people of Israel grumbled against Moses. That has a lot of weight. Like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people complaining to one person. That would, like, you think you have it bad as a dad with one or two kids or four kids complaining to you about something? Think about a whole nation complaining to you.
Yeah.
And you're the guy. Like, you're it for them. So Moses faces a lot of turmoil and uncertainty in this path. But you know what keeps him going? Like, he doesn't waver. He doesn't stop and rethink his life. At least not in the scriptures. He doesn't come to us and say, why did I do this? I'm worthless again. At this point, I think he's fully invested. Moses is all in, and his faith is getting stronger by the day. Every interaction he has with God reassures him, and he has more and more. I know in all the conversations we hear between God and Moses and the people, the theme is they constantly keep on bringing it back to what God has done for the people or Moses and what he promises for the future. Like, they constantly have to be reminded that, like your kids, don't touch the boiling water. It's going to burn you. Put a jacket on. It's cold outside. We constantly, as dads, have to remind our kids or our family of things as well. And that's, we see the same thing in the Bible. They're constantly reminded of what God has done for them and what he's promising to do for them as well. And I think that strengthens their position of, we have to have faith in you to get us through the hard times. And this is why, because of these things that we hear over and over again. It's a good reminder. So yeah, I got, once again, Jimmy, big surprise. I didn't put your surprise face on. I went off the topic of what we were trying to talk about. But so why do, because Moses is getting all his criticism, why do we receive criticism? When we're trying to do the right thing.
Why?
Yeah, I'm just giving you all the questions. Go ahead, answer that.
It depends on who's on the other side. I mean, everyone's got their own internal set of motivations and desires and challenges and why they choose to complain when I'm not where they think I'm supposed to be or doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or even when I'm the one, if I'm the one charged with being the decision maker, the leader in the moment. That's part of the term situational leadership, is depending on who you're dealing with, it's a different situation. Every single individual is a new situation, and you got to be able to adapt as a leader. Like, okay, I'm dealing with Bob today, and this is how Bob works, so I need to work this way in this kind of situation, and tomorrow I'm working with Nancy, so I gotta lead this way. And that's absolutely a challenge a lot of times as a dad. Like, your different kids sometimes have to be led a different way, and you deal with your kids, you lead your children in a different way you do your spouse. It's a different relationship in your home, in your family, and leadership has to be adaptable.
Well said, Jimmy. Well said. So a high level, anytime there's a problem, Moses doesn't sit there and cry about it to himself. He goes to God, right? He knows where to go to get answers. He can't solve himself. Like, he has his set of guidelines from God. He's gonna get more pretty soon here. We're gonna see. Not today, we're not gonna see that, but in the future we'll see that. He gets more guidelines to adhere to and help the people. But right now he has direction of where we're going. He's being told, do this. So Moses is doing this. He's leading them this direction. He says, go this way. I'm going this way. He goes to God for his answers right now because he knows he is not the one in charge here. He recognizes that. He knows where the ultimate decision lies. he's not leading through his own understanding and own strength. He's leading from God's presence. So we can wrap up with that, Jimmy. I think we have a lot of self-reflection questions I could ask you, but you look pretty reflected out at this point.
My reflectors are dim.
Your reflectors are dim. But you know what? We didn't talk about this yet, but if you find this mildly entertaining or entrancing or whatever, or it's like a train wreck you can't look away from, feel free to drop us a like and subscribe on the YouTubes. They find at the bottom of the video. You can also find us on Facebook, DadSchoolPodcast.com. You can go there and see how well we are doing by looking at our pictures and reading that website, and then you can like and subscribe us on there as well. We get tons of emails every single week, but not the ones we want. We get tons of emails
about how our marketing is terrible,
Yeah.
and they can enhance our marketing abilities.
I didn't know how bad I was at marketing for a website or for any idea until we started this, Jimmy. Now I understand how bad I am.
You're reminded every day.
Everybody
a new email
tells me, "Hey, your site." I came across my favorite one is this. It's like they're insulting you to get your business. I get phone calls on this even. They're like, "Oh, are you the owner of DadSchoolPodcast.com?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." And they go, "Oh, I see you're very successful and you have a good website, but we can do better. You're not getting nearly as much traffic." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you just said I was doing good."
Right.
But we can do better. I was like, "No, you can't. They can't. I don't."
For small thousands of dollars.
Nothing. Yeah, my butt. Are you gonna do it for free? Are you consignment here? They don't like that conversation, so they hung up on me. But in the end, you can send us an email and tell us all about your leadership experiences with your family. If you disagree with anything we say, we would love to hear that as well, because we just want you to talk to us and reach out. And this is part of the Dad School community. We have an open community that loves to talk about anything and everything dad related or Bible related, even too. Just want to tell us about if we got something wrong, tell us, please. If you got something right, please tell us that. We need some encouragement. Tell us about your brakes on your Chariot, anything. So, what else we got? Keep on doing the things, be present. We forget anything, Jimmy?
Have a great 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, we have 4th of July. I actually wore this red shirt in commiseration of the 4th coming up. We won't see people until after the 4th. So I wanted to wear this now to be festive. I see you wore the blue half.
I knew you would have the red, so I threw on the blue.
Yeah, you did.
Got my... There we go.
Oh, look at that. I don't have one of those. I just have a boring electric mug.
It's very American.
Yes. So next week we'll talk more about this. I think next week we're going to talk more about the wilderness and some of the woes of eating too much quail.
It'll mess you up.
Yes. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.